Kira and welcome to another video. Today we have a super chilled out chatty Q&A which I am so excited for because as always I've got myself a lovely hot cup of tea to film this video with and it just feels like I'm sitting down for a chat with friends. As I'm filming this it's also super rainy outside and summer seems to have disappeared, so I've got a jumper on, I've got my cup of tea and I'm ready for a good old chat. So without further ado, let's jump into the Q&A. I'm very excited because I got quite a lot of questions when I asked for this on a community post and it just seemed like the perfect chance to do a Q&A because I think about a year ago now I hit 10,000 subscribers and did a 10k Q&A, which was my first ever Q&A video, and it's now been about a year. And I also very recently hit 25,000 subscribers, so another milestone a year later, a rainy day, a cup of tea. Q&A just seems like a wonderful idea. So I would highly encourage you pausing this video and going to put the kettle on and making yourself a hot drink. And then without further ado, let's get into the questions. So I'm going to start with one that I think could be kind of like controversial because this one is so down to personal opinion, and that one is, which book do you think is way overhyped? Now the first book that comes to mind massively is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, which is obviously part of a duology. I never ended up reading the second book in the duology because I hated Six of Crows so much. I went into it expecting to find this amazing book because everyone seemed to love it so much, but I absolutely despised it, so that is absolutely on the top of my overhyped list. And I'm just going to see if there's any others on my shelves that I think are overhyped. Now, generally speaking, I don't keep many books that I don't love, and I also, as you may have seen, back before we moved in spring, did a huge unhaul, so I think a lot of the ones that might have been remaining on there have now been unhauled, and rightfully so. So yeah, I think I would say Six of Crows. Now, one that I still think is an amazing book, but don't understand why this one is so hyped over another particular book by this author, is Daisy Jones and the Six. Now, I think this book is incredible. I'm pretty sure I rated it 4 or 5 stars, but almost everyone seems to think that Daisy Jones is better than The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I personally disagree. So I don't necessarily agree that it's overhyped, but I don't agree that it's better than the other one, so I guess it's kind of overhyped in that sense. But I mean, Taylor Jenkins Reid is amazing, so I can't critique her too much. But yeah, I just prefer Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo personally. Let me know down below which of the two you prefer if you have read them both. Okay, next up we have quite an easy question, for me at least, and that is whether I am in Team Dean, Jess or Logan. For anyone that doesn't know, that is obviously referring to Gilmore Girls and Rory's 3 boyfriends. I obviously am a big Gilmore Girls fan. I've got my Stars Hollow print next to me and I am 100% and always have been in Team Jess. I just think he's amazing. He is obviously like comes into it as this like bad boy character, which I think is why he's like a bit alluring at the start, especially I'm thinking when I was watching it as a teenager. But then also now having watched the like full series so many times, I think he just has the most incredible arc, and you see him come from being just this like troubled teenager who has had such a terrible start in life to just the most incredible guy who's really thoughtful and put Rory and her like needs before his own and just tries to push her to be a better person. I just think he has such a great arc and I think he's wonderful. So definitely Team Jess. Again, let me know which camp you fall into. In my opinion, there's only one right answer, but yeah, I'd love to know what you guys think and why. Okay, next up we have I ever felt pressure to like a book? Honestly, all the time. Like, I feel like anytime I pick up a book where I'm filming it for a vlog, I either want to love or hate it because otherwise it's not very interesting to talk about. I feel like if you don't love a book, you don't have a massive amount to say about it in terms of positives, and if you don't hate a book, then you also don't have a lot of criticism. So I feel like I always feel pressured to be in either category rather than just being kind of like ambivalent, because otherwise it's just not very interesting to talk about. So I guess it's kind of like self-imposed pressure, just because when I've decided to film a vlog about a certain book, I want to actually have things to say about it. Okay, next up we have 2 questions which are technically different, but I'm putting them into one because the answer is the same. So first up is, have you got a book that you've been wanting to read for a while but you haven't read it yet? And then also the second question is, what book are you wanting to read before the end of the year? And the answer to both of those questions is Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. Now, I will definitely be reading this one by the end of the year, and I have been wanting to read it ever since the publication was announced, but the reason I haven't yet is because it's not out yet. So I'll be reading that one as soon as I get my hands on it in September, which is literally only like a month away now. Oh my god, I cannot wait. I'm so excited about that book. I've also had a couple of questions about the fact that I did an English degree. So for anyone who isn't aware, I studied English literature at the University of Leeds, and I did my degree between 2015 and 2018. So I've been graduated now for like 3 years, which is absolutely wild. So first up, in a few videos, usually when I'm talking about classics, I mention that Frankenstein was the book that made me want to study English literature, and someone wanted me to talk a little bit more about that. So I studied English literature right throughout school, as most people do, until their GCSEs, which for anyone not in the UK is the exams that you take when you are 16, and you do them in quite a lot of different subjects, and then that determines what subjects you can then go on to study at A level. So I did really well in English literature GCSE and then went on to study it at A level, and I really did enjoy English, but although people like teachers had always said I should consider doing it at university, it wasn't necessarily on my radar. I was actually thinking of either doing psychology or even going into like mental health nursing or midwifery. There were quite a few different things I was considering, and honestly I do now regret not going for one of those options, because honestly I really wish I had gone down a different path in terms of my degree, but we'll talk more about that in a second. But I had a teacher at A level who was just so funny, and the class was relatively small, and I just found the way that we dissected Frankenstein to be so fun, and it was kind of like the first time that I felt like I'd really like properly delved into a text, because the jump up from GCSE to A level in terms of like analysis and exploring the text and reading criticism is a bigger jump, and it was kind of the first time I thought, yeah, maybe I could study this at university, and I decided to just run with it. So the next question is, do you think having a literature degree is a benefit when it comes to liking reading? And I don't think it's a benefit at all, to be honest, because throughout my entire degree, I hardly read anything for pleasure. I was reading so much for my reading lists and for the classes and seminars that I didn't have any time. For one thing, I didn't have any time for reading, but also I kind of lost my spark for it, because reading suddenly felt like something that was just like a chore and something to do for work, rather than being something that I actually enjoy doing for fun. And I definitely felt a massive difference between how I felt at A level, where we were taking one book, reading that over like a few months and absolutely diving into everything you could possibly know about that book, but still had plenty of time to do other reading on my own time basically. Whereas at university I was reading like 2 to 3 books a week for 3 different classes, and it was just a lot of reading. So I really don't think it was a benefit to me being someone who liked reading. It actually killed my love of reading for quite a long time, and I actually only started this channel after I had finished my final semester of university and decided to get back into reading. And then in terms of I don't think it helps me as a reader, because my attitude to reading for pleasure is totally different to how much I would put into effort to reading for an essay. You know, you're going to be reading in a completely different way, and that's not a style of reading that I think is very enjoyable if you're just trying to read a book for fun and to take in the story. You don't want to necessarily be pulling apart the structure and the socio-economic and political potential meanings that the text might have, and looking at different critics and their thoughts on it. It's just not the way that I would go about reading for pleasure. So I really don't think that it was a benefit to me at all. And like I say, I feel like I made a mistake in choosing to go for an English degree. And my thought about that was just, I like reading and I'm good at English, so maybe I should do an English degree. But actually, I was already good at reading. I already loved reading. And actually, that was a passion that I think I wish I would have kept as just a hobby and a passion. And then I could have pursued something else in more of a career sense, which I have obviously gone to do now that I'm no longer at university. I've gone into marketing, which is nothing to do with English literature. But yeah, I feel like it was a missed opportunity to keep one passion and find something new to explore as well, rather than just putting all my eggs in one basket. I feel like that was a very, very convoluted answer, but I hope that makes sense. I like the way this one is phrased because someone has said, sorry for the interview type question, but what are your goals for the next 5 to 10 years? Now, I am currently 24, so in 5 years I'll be 29. So that's kind of crazy. So 5-year goals. Currently, Jay and I are renting a house, so I think for us, we definitely would like to have bought somewhere in 5 years. I think I'd also like to have had at least one child by the time I'm 29, and then possibly have like lived abroad somewhere. I feel like travel is something that I would like to do, but we of course have pets. We've got a cat and a rabbit, and so travel isn't something that we can really do very easily, nor would we want to just like go off and leave the animals with someone else to look after them. So I think if we were to go abroad, it would be for a more long-term living option that we could bring the pets along with us. So that's something that I would like to try and do in the next 5 or 10 years. But aside from that, it would just be to be happy, maybe like renovate a property. I think that would be really, really fun. And also get better at pottery. That's a new skill that I've started this year, and I want to have like a little, when we buy a house, I want like a little pottery shed in my garden where I can just like vibe and be creative and pretend that I'm actually good at art, which I am not. I felt this is a terrible day to answer this question because my hair is looking quite poofy right now, but someone has asked like how I take care of my natural curls. So the biggest thing that I did, which was in like 2016 or 17, I stopped straightening my hair. I had straightened my hair every year of my life forever and ever and ever, as long as I could remember. I always would straighten my hair, or if it wasn't straight, it was up in a bun because I didn't want anyone to see my frizzy, poofy hair, because I would brush it when it was dry, and honestly that's just the worst thing you can do for curls. So I had to make a commitment to stop like using heat on my hair altogether and just like give my hair a chance to recover, and it made such a difference. Just that one thing made a massive difference because my hair was kind of stuck at one length. It just would not go any longer, and once I stopped using heat on my hair, it started growing way stronger. I don't really use any products on it. They've asked about like leave-in gels and stuff. That's something I would maybe consider, but equally I'm a little bit like, I brush my hair quite often because I obviously have to put it up every day to go to the gym, so I don't know if those kinds of products would be wasted on me. But I am actually just waiting for a delivery from a company called Only Curls. I came across them when I was looking for a new curly shampoo and conditioner, and they're a like small business in the UK. It's like an independent business, and I was like very excited to see their products because the curls that people had on their website, like the transformations of all different curl types, looked so incredible. And so I will keep you updated. I'll probably mention that in a vlog when my products arrive, but I'm very excited. I've gotten myself a shampoo, a conditioner and a leave-in hair mask because I think from one thing that I've noticed from all the research I've done about curly hair is that moisture is key. So stopping heat is definitely the best thing I've done to take care of my hair though. So on the topic of putting my hair up every day to go to the gym, someone has asked about my gym dedication, which is quite funny to me because I grew up as the least sporty person ever. The only sport that I really liked was swimming, which I could do obviously on weekends. Me and my dad and my brother would go swimming quite often. Wasn't something that I ever did competitively though. But I hated PE at school. I hated games, so netball, rugby, tennis, like anything that involved being like a team, not for me. I was definitely more of an independent person. So when I left school and Jay and I got gym memberships, I really did get into the gym because it was just fun to like work out on your own, set your own goals, and I just feel like it was nice. However, I've had way too many times where I've dropped in and out of going to the gym. Like, it's not something that I'm always dedicated to. I've had so many periods of time where I've just completely stopped, or I've stopped doing that and gotten really into running or cycling for a while, and I definitely think it's nice to mix things up. But over the last couple of years, the two things that I've been into most have been yoga and the gym, and I think the dedication just comes from wanting to reach certain goals, whether that's strength goals or physical goals, like, you know, certain ways that you want your body to look and different muscles that you'd like to build. And I just think knowing what the goal is and knowing the only way to get there is consistency is kind of what motivates me. They've also asked if I'm a competitive person. So I definitely, like I said, was not a sporty child growing up, but I am a competitive person, more so with myself. I set myself goals and I do not want to let myself down, or if I know I've achieved something in the past, I want my future self to continue to achieve that, because otherwise I've kind of like gone in the wrong direction. So now I've been going to the gym every day since the gym's reopened after lockdown. My gym opened on the 19th of April. So I've been going to the gym every single day, and now even on days where I'm like, oh, I'm a bit tired this morning, I just think I've done it so many days in a row now, so why would I want to quit today? And that kind of motivates me to keep going. I'm going to be really annoying with the way that I answer this one, but someone has said, am I going to be doing any more readathons? So I do quite a lot of like 24-hour readathons and also some longer ones. So kind of have one definite answer and a couple of more cryptic ones. The first one is, am I going to be doing any read-alongs? Yes, I have recently announced that I'm doing a Jane Austen read-along, which starts on the 1st of August. We're doing one book a month for the next 6 months, and we're starting with Sense and Sensibility. So that is going to be our August pick, and the information about that is on the announcement video for the Jane Austen read-along. I have 2 other read-along / readathons in the works at the moment. One is one of mine and my friend Carolyn's Rory Gilmore 24-hour readathons. We did a couple of them last summer and they were so much fun. We're just trying to work out a date that we can both definitely do the 24-hour readathon on, but once we have set that date, I will announce it in a vlog and you will be able to join in with us, which is so much fun. Then the other one may or may not be one coming up in like September, October time, to do with Stephen King and one of his big books. That's all I'm going to say about it, but another one that will be a collaboration with a friend of mine, and I'm very, very excited about it. I'm sure I'll be doing other 24-hour readathons in the meantime, and I will definitely be doing another Agatha Christie one some point in the future, because that one was so much fun. If you have any requests for 24-hour readathons, either authors, themes or series that you'd like to see me try and read in 24 hours, then definitely let me know in the comments, because I would love to add them to my agenda. Okay, we have a couple of questions about Jay now. So Jay is my boyfriend, for anyone that doesn't know. A lot of people always comment whenever he's been in a vlog and he's been reading as well about how happy they are that I have a boyfriend who reads, but how jealous they are that you guys don't. So the question first up is, how does it contribute to our relationship that he is a reader as well as me? And honestly, I don't think it has a massive contribution on the relationship. So if you are looking at us and being like, oh my god, I wish my boyfriend was a reader as well, literally don't worry about it, because it doesn't add that much to the relationship, really. Jay was not a reader when we first got together, and then he got into it as I was in university. And so we do like going book shopping together, that is fun, but we don't really read any of the same types of books. There's a few classics that we've crossed over, and occasionally there's books that we talk about. Sometimes we'll tell each other about what book we're reading, but on the whole, we don't really read the same books, and the books that I read don't particularly interest him, and vice versa. So it is kind of still, reading is always, I think, going to be quite a solo activity. So if your partner is not a reader and you wish that they were, don't worry about it, just turn to the world of BookTube and find bookish friends there. And then the other question was about Jay, that was about his diet. So I am vegan, for anyone that doesn't know, and Jay is not. So someone asked, how do I deal with living with someone who isn't a vegan? Again, it's not really a massive issue. Jay is a vegetarian, so he doesn't eat any meat, and so we don't have any meat in the house. That probably is something that I would struggle with, just because I'd struggle with the smell of it. I would definitely never cook it, and I do most of the cooking for us. So meat is something that I would struggle with a bit more, but equally in terms of I will have vegan cheese, Jay will have normal cheese. He eats dairy yogurt, I don't. He'll have cereal with, cow's milk, I will just use oat milk. It doesn't really make a massive difference to my life, only in the sense that I know when I've bought vegan products, then they're safe and I'm going to be able to eat them instead of having to worry about sharing them with someone else. So it doesn't really make a big issue to me. Most of the bases of our meals, like pasta or enchiladas or fajitas or loads of different things, the base is vegan, and then anything that's not vegan is just kind of added on afterwards. So I really don't see it as a massive issue personally. That's just me, and of course I wasn't vegan when Jay and I met. We've been together for nearly 8 years and I've been vegan for 6 years. So I kind of decided to add that into the mix. I can't expect someone else to change just because I've decided to. And like I said, it's not really a big issue. He tries vegan food with me. We go to loads of vegan friendly places. And yeah, that's that. And I guess this one is kind of relevant to Jay as well, but someone asked, do I have any friends or family members who are also into books that I can talk literature with? So Jay is a reader, and we do talk about books sometimes if we have like a crossover of interest, or if one of us is reading a book that we particularly love and want to talk about. My mum is also a reader, and she definitely was the person responsible for getting me into reading as a child. So we talk about books sometimes and swap recommendations. And then Jay's little sister Heidi, who we lived with until recently because I lived with Jay's family. She is also into reading quite a lot, and I'll often give her access to the Kira library and give her book recommendations as well. She's only 16, so I give her like some of my YA ones, and she's also into thrillers and things like that, so it's fun to have someone to share recommendations with who likes the same books as me. Seeing as I'm sitting in front of my bookshelves, I might as well talk about, someone asked how I decided my bookshelf aesthetic. Honestly, it's not massively organised as such. I just kind of decided to categorise things. So from what you can see here, we have a romance shelf, a contemporary romance shelf, we've got a Stephen King shelf, more Stephen King, and also some other thrillers behind me. This is my contemporary shelf, and then I've got classics here. So I tried to just kind of categorise things, and then I decided to mix the shelves up a little bit just to kind of make it look a bit more interesting by having some covers like facing out like Sense and Sensibility, some stacked, and then some like just lengthways along the shelves, just because I think it adds like a nice bit of like depth and interest to the shelf dynamic. And then I have a couple of like little decorations like this Stars Hollows poster, but that's kind of it really. I just kind of put the things together, tried to see what looked nice, and yeah, I'm sure I'll end up changing it at some point as well, but for now I'm very, very happy with how they look, and it just feels like such a relief to have nice bookshelves after so long of having just all of mine and Jay's books on one shelf that was tiny, so everything was like triple stacked and just looked so ugly. So this just feels so lovely. I'm so happy about it. Okay, two questions that are, again, similar in their topic. The first one, straight up just says, how come you post so much less now? And then the second one is a little bit more of a long question, and that says, you said that you work full time. How do you manage all the interest that you have and doing YouTube videos? Well, the answer to that question is with great difficulty, to be perfectly honest. It's hard to get everything fit in. So last year, when lockdown started in March 2020, I decided to start doing 3 videos a week because I was on furlough, which was a scheme in the UK where you were still paid a reduced salary, which meant that you weren't going to lose your job, but you obviously weren't working. And I was on and off furlough for most of 2020. In the beginning of 2021 as well. So I had a whole year where YouTube kind of felt like it was my job. I was doing 3 videos a week, and I felt like I had so much time and energy to put into filming and editing videos. Now, because of the nature of the type of YouTube channel that I have, which is that a lot of the videos are about books, it is a lot harder to churn out videos when you don't have time for reading. So last year I could put almost all of my free time into reading because gyms were closed, yoga studios were closed, I wasn't at work, it was lockdown, so we weren't really seeing other people, and so reading was just like most of what I was doing, which meant that I was reading a lot and therefore had a lot of content to make videos with. Whereas now that I'm back at work, I'm definitely making less videos because I'm reading less, and I just want to make sure that what I'm putting out is as good as it can be rather than just rushing to put out content that isn't something I'm as proud of. So that is why I'm posting less often. I'm hoping to be able to put more videos out at some point, maybe in like the autumn when work calms down a little bit, because at the moment it's really busy. But yeah, so that is kind of why I'm posting less. And in terms of how do I get everything done that I want to do in terms of YouTube, hobbies and full-time job, it's just really like prioritising. I wake up most days before 5 a.m. to go to the gym, which means that when I come back I have some time to like eat before I have to start work, and just like making those decisions that are not necessarily like the most attractive, aka getting up super early every single day, even on the weekends, they just make a difference because it means you have way more time to do the things that you want to do. So just a case of prioritizing massively. Okay, a great book question is, who is my favourite villain story? Now, whether this character can really truly be considered a villain is up for debate, but I think they largely are considered a villain, and that is Gollum from the Lord of the Rings series as well as The Hobbit. Gollum is such an interesting character to me because I always thought, from seeing like the little clips of the My Precious thing on, you know, like movies and stuff, that he was essentially just like this weird, creepy creature thing who's just obsessed with the ring, which is obviously true, but in the books and also the films actually, you get to see so much more of his backstory, how he became that way, and he is just this symbol of what can happen when people sort of are lured in by the promise of like power and glory, and just kind of like, I just feel like he's so human. Obviously he's not human because none of the characters, well, some of the characters in Lord of the Rings are, but a lot of them are not human, but essentially like human in his nature, in the sense that he has positive elements and you can see that there is good within his character, but you also see that he's just kind of fallen to the more negative parts of his character. And I just think J.R.R. Tolkien does such a great job of exploring characters in such a complex way that it's almost impossible to have villains and heroes, because everyone kind of has their positives and negatives. There's light and dark in all of the characters, and I think Gollum is like one of the best ways of exploring the concept of villainy and challenging it by sort of like saying like, you know, no one is a true villain, there is good and bad in everyone, and I just love Gollum and his character. Okay, tricky question, and that is, if you could time travel, would you rather go forwards in time to the future or back in time? Honestly, time travel is not something that appeals to me at all, because obviously go back in time, there are quite a few groups of people with significantly less human rights, medicine is worse, health is worse, you know, not ideal for a lot of people basically, and you know, I'm pretty happy with the modern advances that we've got right now. That's not to say that there's not bad things about the present, because there certainly are, but equally I like live in it, so I'm like, okay, I know what I'm getting in this time. Whereas to go forward to the future, that's risky as well, because you know, we're on the precipice of a climate crisis and lots of other terrible things happening in the world, so the future is very uncertain. So I'm gonna decline the offer to time travel and stay right where I am, because I would love to go back to like a Jane Austen novel. So if I could time travel back into a novel, then I'd go back and enjoy like 18th century life with Jane Austen and those types of peeps. But in terms of actual reality of that time period, I wouldn't want to go back, and I definitely don't want to go forward, so here and now is where I shall stay. Kind of embarrassing question for me. How many languages do you know? I'm speaking it, it's English, that's all I can offer you, which is like the biggest embarrassment of my whole entire life. I feel like England as a country should just be truly ashamed of itself in terms of its attitude to languages. Across Central Europe, people learn so many languages. Like, I remember once Jay and I were in Italy, and we are actually currently learning German, so we can speak a little bit of German and understand a little bit, and we were stood next to a German family who had two little girls. One of them must have been like 7 or 8, so a little bit older, and the other one was about to start school that September when the summer holidays were over, and the little girl was talking in German, and basically she was trying to read an English book, and her sister was making fun of her and saying, oh my god, you don't know how to speak English, all of the kids at school are going to make fun of you. And this little girl was speaking English really well, and I just thought, oh my god, she's literally not even at school yet, she can already speak 2 languages better than I can as an adult, and her sister is like teasing her because she expects that she should be even better. And that just really solidified for me like how bad the language program is in the UK, because it's just not something that's pushed, and I think there's just like an arrogance of English being like the primary language and one that is spoken over quite a large portion of the world, and therefore we don't need to learn how to speak other languages, whereas I really disagree with that. When I have children, I'll definitely be trying to encourage them to learn more languages from a young age, because now trying to learn German as an adult, it's a lot harder, I think, to like process it and like learn it and speak it fluently than if you learn it when your brain is still in that developmental stage. So to answer your question, currently only speak one language. I would love to change that, and hopefully at some point in the future I'll be able to say that I can speak German, but right now I don't think I quite qualify as being able to speak it properly. This is a really hard question. If I had to choose only one, would I only read books set in the past or only read books set in the present day? God, that's so difficult. I love some classics, but I think when I think about my favourite books of all time, there's things like, you know, both of Sally Rooney's novels, Got the Perks of Being a Wallflower, Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I love all of those books, and so I guess if I had to, I'd maybe say books set in the present, so contemporary novels, but it would be really tough because I think you're cutting off so many great books there if you were not allowed to read books set in the past. So past and present, really difficult. I don't think futuristic books are like massively into my like repertoire, so I probably wouldn't miss them as much, so I'd get rid of them if I could, had to get rid of one. But yeah, past and present, that is really, really difficult. I'd love to know if you guys have an answer, drop it down below. Following a difficult question with an easy one, what is my favourite thing to bake? I have two favourite things to bake. The first is cinnamon rolls, which are just amazing. They're made out of bread, so that's a big win. They've got cinnamon in, which is my favourite thing ever, and they literally just taste like autumn in a fluffy dough. Deliciousness. I just think cinnamon rolls are the best. And then I also love to make apple crumble, which is just, again, such a like nostalgic bake for me. It just feels so autumnal and cozy, and honestly, making myself an apple crumble in the kitchen and just feeling like I live in like a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, enjoying the countryside, it's just such a vibe. So that is definitely my two favourite things to bake. Another easy question, am I a writer as well with plans for publication? Absolutely not. I do not think writing is a skill of mine. I've like been tempted in the past to try it out because I think a lot of readers feel like, oh, I'm a reader, so I should also be a writer, but it's just not for me. Like, I don't get any joy out of writing, and so I feel like that would come across in the work, and like I've never really been inspired to write a novel. If it ever came to me one day, then I would not say no if I got a great idea and I was suddenly inspired, but as of right now, I'm not a writer, and quite frankly, I literally don't have time in my schedule to take on that as well, so no writing for me, just reading. I just try to squeeze everything else that I do into my life as well. Had to laugh at this question because someone said, are you no longer using Goodreads with a crying emoji because I haven't updated in so long? No, I'm not no longer using Goodreads. I am still going to be using Goodreads. I'm just not reading. I just am really struggling to find time for reading at the moment. It has been tough. Work has been busy. I've had a few social plans, and before you know it, the week is over and you've hardly picked up a book, and there's another week gone by and another step further away from your Goodreads goal. So don't worry, I'm still going to be using Goodreads, and hopefully more things will be going in it in the future, but quite frankly right now, reading is not happening very easily for me. So send me good vibes because I need to read a little bit more. Okay, one person has asked a few questions. So the first one is, what does YouTube bring into my life? Well, YouTube has brought me this incredible community of all of you guys who literally make my day every single day when I get comments from you, and it just honestly means the world when I'm putting out content and people respond, and I just feel like I've got the loveliest group of people here. So it's 100% brought me that, has brought me the ability to edit videos, and generally I think that YouTube is one of the things that's helped me get into my career, which is in marketing, because I've obviously got experience on a personal level of sort of running campaigns in terms of like coming up with content and putting it out there, marketing it to an audience and editing the videos and taking ownership of the full process. And when I was just getting started in marketing after having graduated and I didn't have any loads like work experience, having a YouTube channel and those types of skills were a big help to me. So it's brought me better career journey. And then it's also brought me lots of lovely friends as well who I've met through YouTube who also have YouTube channels. So many great things. They've also asked if I'm going to do another Gilmore Girls readathon, so just to reiterate, definitely yes, and you guys will be the first to know as soon as I have a date set. And then also, have I ever considered changing my career? Literally all the time. It doesn't take much for me to suddenly get an inspiration to go for a completely different thing. I've obviously not done it because I'm still working in marketing. However, I put on an episode of Call the Midwife, I start googling midwifery degrees and how much time it's going to take to become a midwife and all of that kind of stuff. If I watch Suits, I'm like, well, that's it, I'm becoming a lawyer. Literally, like, I get so many different like flits of ideas in my brain, and I am always thinking about things to like do and change up. And I think that's another reason why I love having a YouTube channel, because it means that I can kind of explore lots of different things, and you know, this feels like another kind of job-like thing that I can put a lot of energy into that's different from my actual job, and I just love having lots of things on the go. So have I ever considered changing it? Literally almost every week I have a new idea. Will I actually do it? Who knows? But yeah, I do definitely think about different career paths all the time. Next up we have, what is my favourite holiday? Christmas! That was the easiest answer ever. I love Christmas. I actually started thinking about Christmas this week, and genuinely I feel it in my soul. Like, I've said the word Christmas now and I can feel my stomach has gone a bit tighter, and I feel like I've gotten butterflies, and I can actually like feel the physical effects of excitement on my body. I'm genuinely so thrilled by the concept of Christmas, and as soon as it gets to like September, it gets to autumn, I start thinking about Christmas, and I cannot wait. And especially this year, because it's the first year that Jay and I have lived on our own outside of his family's house, which means that we'll get to decorate our own house for the first time, and thinking about going and choosing a Christmas tree. Oh my god, I just love Christmas so much. There is no comparison to Christmas to me. It's just incredible. And then finishing on a lovely question, someone has asked who my favourite booktubers are. So there are quite a few people who I absolutely love. I'll try and keep it short and snappy. First of all, as some of you probably know, I host a book club called the Dark Academics Book Club alongside 4 other lovely booktubers. They are Carolyn from the channel Carolyn Marie Reads, Emma, who has the channel Emmy. We also have Lucy from Crescent Pages, and then Mary from Mary Among Stories. They are some of the best friends that I have met through BookTube, and they all have the most wonderful channels. I love cozy vibes and just like chill videos, and they all just create the most cozy content ever, so I absolutely love all of their channels. And then 2 other booktubers that I love are Morgan Long, who again just creates the most incredible, aesthetic, cinematic videos where you're like, I can't believe that I'm watching this on YouTube. It feels like it is a full-on film. And she also is just the warmest and most wonderful personality and just a joy to watch. So Morgan is someone who I turn to when I just feel like I want to be uplifted, because she is just such a ray of sunshine. Then there is also the wonderful Noelle Gallagher, who is just so cool, like way cooler than I would ever be. Her makeup, her hair, just her life in general. She's just got a cool vibe, and I think that she has a really wonderful channel as well. I just love her videos. They are super fun and funny, and I love them. Those are some of the booktubers that I watch. Now, I obviously have another channel as well as this one, which is my food channel, always linked in the description box down below. So food is actually something that I spend a lot of time watching videos about. So some other creators that I like are Phoebe from her channel Honey Bunch of Onion Tops. She makes the most wonderful foodie videos that just feel like a hug in video format. She has done a really great series of But Vegan, where she's taken films or TV shows like Friends or Gilmore Girls or Call the Midwife and made recipes from the TV show But Vegan. I love that. There is also a channel called Linda Sun, who is just such another positive channel. I just think Linda makes the most incredible uplifting videos. She talks about food and fitness and health in such a relatable way, and just promotes like such a positive attitude towards those topics. I I think those are some of my favourites. Gosh, there are so many amazing channels out there. I suppose I have to mention, as a final conclusion to this video, the channel that I first ever really watched on YouTube that I still love to this day, and that is Zoe Sugg, who was obviously previously known as Zoella. She's just so great. Another one who just creates the most cosy vlogs, and just, it just feels like you're watching a video of like you just chatting to a friend. It just feels like chill vibes. And I couldn't mention Christmas without mentioning Zoe, because she is just the queen of Christmas and Vlogmas, and I just think that her videos feel festive to me even when they're not. So that gives you a little insight into my subscription box. So many other amazing creators, but those are some of my favourite ones who I'm always watching. So I feel like I've chatted myself out, honestly. You wouldn't think I go to the gym every day by the amount I get out of breath from simply just talking. But I hope you have enjoyed this Q&A. If you have any answers to the questions that I've been answering as well, leave them in a comment down below, and I hope you have enjoyed hearing me chat your ears off for the last God knows how long. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.